Baba Vanga's 2025 warning, millions may vanish today's prayer. In whispers carried through digital corridors, YouTube comments, late-night live streams, and anonymous forums, a haunting question is beginning to take shape. Could Baba Vanga's warning for 2025 mean that millions of souls will simply vanish not by war or natural disaster, but from something far deeper, far quieter? This prophecy, shared again and again in spiritual circles and speculative threads, suggests a mysterious disappearance, tied not to the body, but to the soul. A warning not of physical extinction, but of spiritual erosion. But let's be honest, when we trace this specific claim back to the actual records, the documented visions of Baba Vanga, we find nothing. No direct prophecy that matches this narrative. It seems to be yet another modern myth, born from fear, curiosity, and the chaos of our times. Yet, we must ask, why does it resonate so strongly? Why do we feel something true behind a prophecy that may not even exist? And that, dear seekers, is the more important question, because perhaps this story is not meant to predict the future. Perhaps it's meant to reveal the present, a time when millions are not physically vanishing, but spiritually fading, disconnected from meaning, from purpose, from each other. So today, on the journey of wisdom, we won't chase shadows. Instead, we will sit with this story as a mirror. And we will offer a prayer, not for survival, but for awakening. Let's begin. The legend of the Mark of Stillness. So, let us now step fully into the story itself, as it's told. Let's not analyze it for a moment, but simply experience it. Let's treat it like a modern legend and listen to the echoes of what it has to say. The legend begins not with a grand pronouncement, but in a quiet, intimate setting. It speaks of a phrase, a cryptic and unsettling warning, found nowhere in any public record or official biography. It was supposedly discovered in the fragile, private notes of one of Baba Vanga's longtime and most trusted caretakers. The image it evokes is of a line, scribbled down perhaps hastily, after a quiet conversation in her final, fading years, a sentence spoken not with the fire of prophecy, but in a hushed, weary tone. The phrase, as the story goes, was this: "By the final sun of the 5th year, the world shall lose those who carry the mark of stillness." Now, the key to the entire legend, the fulcrum on which it all turns, is that single, powerful, and deeply misunderstood word, stillness. What this stillness meant, the story emphatically suggests, was not the peaceful stillness of meditation, nor the necessary, restorative stillness of physical rest. It wasn't about laziness or taking a well-deserved break from a busy life. It was nothing so simple or so human. This was a stillness of the soul, a profound and chilling spiritual stagnation. The tale describes it as the state of a soul that has simply ceased its forward journey. Imagine a ship in the middle of a vast ocean, its sails hanging limp and grey, with no wind to fill them, no current to guide it, no stars to navigate by. It is not sinking, not in distress, but simply drifting, its wood groaning with inaction, adrift on a glassy, indifferent sea. Or, the legend offers another image, a river that has stopped flowing. Its movement, its very life force, has ceased, and its once clear waters are now growing thick and murky with stagnation, no longer nourishing the land around it, no longer a home for life. According to this legend, that was the precise spiritual condition of these millions of individuals. They were no longer evolving, they had lost their curiosity. They were no longer learning, no longer growing, no longer asking the great questions. They were no longer contributing their unique energy to the great cosmic flow of experience. They were, in the most essential sense, just going through the motions. They had, in essence, stopped truly living long before they were gone. And the consequence of this stillness, in the telling of this tale, is where the story turns from a philosophical concept into something truly chilling. It wasn't about a physical death. Death, after all, is a known part of life. It leaves a memory, a legacy, a space of grief that honors a life lived. No, this was something else entirely, something far more terrifying. The legend says these people, the ones marked by this inner stillness, would simply not cross the threshold into the year 2026. They would be erased. Not killed, erased. Erased from the timelines of history, forgotten by the memories of those who loved them most. It's as if the universe itself, in its vast and silent intelligence, had found a corrupted file and hit a permanent delete key. The story speaks of the unsettling aftermath, of family portraits hanging on a wall where, in the space a child once stood, there is now just wallpaper. Of digital records and social media profiles vanishing without a trace, leaving behind only error messages. The most terrifying detail is how the legend describes the living, families waking up one morning with a faint, unexplainable sense of loss, a phantom limb of the heart, a grief for a ghost they could not name. In this telling, the universe itself performs a sort of cosmic audit. The tale suggests it's not a punishment from an angry or vengeful god, but something far more impersonal, more dispassionate, more like a fundamental law of nature. It's the universe removing what the legend calls karmic dead weight. It's a chilling and fascinating concept within the logic of the story, less about divine judgment and more about a natural, albeit terrifying, rebalancing. It's like a wise gardener who, seeing branches on the great tree of mankind that no longer bear fruit, that no longer even try to reach for the light, must prune them, not out of anger, but for the health of the entire tree, so that it can continue to grow stronger and reach higher. It's a powerful, unsettling story, and while it may be just a legend, it has survived and spread and found its way to us today, for one simple reason: it touches on a fear that is very, very real. The fear of not just dying, but of having never truly mattered at all. Vanga's known 2025 Prophecies. To truly understand what makes the legend of the Vanishing so unique, and to grasp why it feels so profoundly different from other prophecies, it helps to temporarily take a step back from the legend itself. Let's ground ourselves for a moment in the world of what is more commonly known. Let's look at the prophecies that are more publicly and repeatedly associated with Baba Vanga for the year 2025. Now, before we do, it is essential to state a crucial disclaimer. The authenticity of any of these predictions is a topic of endless and often heated debate. Many were recorded decades ago, often transcribed by others, and frequently spoken in cryptic, metaphorical language. Their accuracy is almost always viewed in hindsight, where it's easy for interpreters to fit past events to vague predictions. So, for our purposes today, we are not treating these as verified facts. We are simply looking at what is generally reported in the public sphere, as this helps us establish a baseline. It gives us a sense of the kind of events Vanga was known for predicting. When you look at the sources that track these things, from articles in European tabloids like The Sun or the Daily Mail, which have long been fascinated with her, to more serious history websites and paranormal forums, a few key themes for the year 2025 emerge repeatedly. You'll notice they tend to focus on global, tangible, large-scale events. They are about major shifts in power, dramatic economic turmoil, and significant scientific advancement. For instance, one of the most consistently cited predictions for 2025 is a massive global economic crisis. The details are, as always, hazy, but the prophecy generally points to a significant and painful shift in economic power away from the established Western nations and towards the rising powers in the East, particularly in Asia. This is often linked to predictions of crippling national debts in the West and escalating geopolitical tensions that finally boil over into the financial markets. This is a classic Vanga-style prediction, broad, impactful, and concerning events unfolding on the world stage. Another recurring theme is a dramatic surge in extreme weather events and major natural disasters. Her prophecies from years past often spoke in powerful, elemental terms of great waves that would cover the coast and fiery dragons that would descend from the sky. Modern interpreters have often linked this symbolic language to the very real threats of tsunamis, devastating earthquakes in new regions, or unprecedented climate-related catastrophes, superstorms, floods, or wildfires on a scale that would permanently alter coastlines and affect millions of lives. On the geopolitical front, there are often mentions of a significant increase in cyber warfare. She is said to have foreseen a time when virtual attacks would become a primary and significant threat to national security. The prophecies suggest these would not just be about stealing information, but about targeting critical, physical infrastructure, power grids, water treatment plants, and financial networks, causing chaos from behind a computer screen. There's also a darker, more specific prediction that some sources mention with a degree of consistency: an assassination attempt on a major world leader, specifically the president of Russia. But it isn't all doom and gloom. Among the recorded prophecies for 2025 is a decidedly positive and hopeful one: a major, paradigm-shifting breakthrough in the field of medicine. The prediction suggests that dedicated research will finally yield cures or highly effective treatments for diseases that have long been considered incurable, with cancer and Alzheimer's being the most frequently mentioned. This prophecy offers a glimmer of profound hope for millions of families worldwide. Now, let's just pause here for a moment and consider the nature of these predictions: an economic crisis, natural disasters, cyber attacks, a medical cure. Do you notice the difference between these and the legend we just explored? The known prophecies, the ones that are part of her public legacy, speak of events that happen to us. They are, for the most part, massive external forces. A storm hits a coastline. An economy crashes. A cure is found by scientists. We are participants, yes, and we are certainly affected, but often we find ourselves in a position of reacting to these large-scale, outside events that are far beyond our individual control. The legend of the Mark of Stillness, however, is profoundly and fundamentally different. It's not about an external event happening to us. It speaks of a quiet, internal condition that happens within us. It's not about the world changing around you. It's about you ceasing to change with the world. And perhaps that is the very reason why this unverified, modern legend has taken such a powerful hold on our collective imagination. It feels intensely personal in a way that even a global economic crisis, as frightening as that is, does not. It doesn't point the finger at the heavens or at governments or at the tectonic plates of the earth. It turns the mirror back on us and points the finger directly and quietly at the soul. The metaphor of vanishing, unpacking our modern condition. So, this brings us to the heart of the matter. If the legend of the Mark of Stillness isn't a literal prophecy, then what is it? Why does it feel so strangely familiar to us? It's because the story, whether by accident or design, has become a perfect metaphor for our modern condition. It speaks to a quiet epidemic of vanishing that is happening all around us, every single day, not in a mystical, supernatural way, but in ways that are deeply human, deeply social, and deeply personal. Let's talk about the first and most obvious form of this vanishing: the digital ghost. We live in an age where we have never been more connected, yet we risk becoming digital ghosts. Think about it. We exist as a profile, a carefully curated collection of photos from the past, shared articles, and past thoughts. It's a museum of who we were, or who we wanted people to think we were, but our true, present, living self is often nowhere to be found. We are vanishing from the real world, disappearing into the cold glow of a screen. We sit at a dinner table with family, but we are not really there. We are scrolling through the lives of strangers. We stand in a beautiful park, but we don't see the sunset. We see it through the lens of our phone, already thinking about the caption. Our online presence becomes a ghost that lives a more vibrant life than we do. It collects likes, it gets comments, it engages in debates, but the person behind it, we can be profoundly still, sitting alone in a room, feeling more and more disconnected from the very life our profile claims we are living. This isn't just a problem for the young, it affects all of us. We build these digital echo chambers, these filter bubbles, where we only hear what we already believe, and slowly, the rich, complex, and sometimes challenging real world begins to vanish from our view. Replaced by a simplified, distorted reflection, we become ghosts haunting the machine of our own creation. From this flows a second, more heartbreaking kind of vanishing, the vanishing conversation. I want you to think about this for a moment. When was the last time you had a deep, uninterrupted conversation with someone you care about? A conversation without a phone buzzing on the table, without the television on in the background, without the pressure of having to be somewhere else in 10 minutes. The art of conversation itself is vanishing. It's being replaced by short, efficient exchanges of texts and emojis. We communicate, but we don't connect. We exchange information, but we rarely share ourselves. We are losing the ability to truly see and hear one another. We've become experts at formulating our reply while the other person is still speaking, instead of simply listening to understand. We ghost people in relationships, disappearing without a word because a real conversation is too uncomfortable. And as we do this, as we allow real human connection to be replaced by these shallow interactions, we begin to feel invisible ourselves. If no one is truly listening to us, if no one is truly seeing us, do we even exist in their world? We start to feel like we are vanishing from the lives of others, and they from ours, leaving a quiet stillness in the space that conversation used to fill. And this leads to perhaps the most profound vanishing of all, one that many people feel acutely as they get older, the fading of purpose. For many of us, especially after decades in the workforce or after the immense job of raising children is done and the house becomes quiet, a sense of purpose can begin to fade. This isn't laziness, it's a quiet, creeping sense of stillness, a feeling of having vanished from the grand narrative of your own life. For so long, your role was clear. You were a provider, a manager, a parent, a caregiver. Your days had a rhythm, a forward momentum driven by responsibility. And then, one day, that momentum slows. Retirement comes, the kids move out. The familiar structures that defined you are no longer there. And in that quiet space, a difficult question can arise. What now? The world keeps rushing on, celebrating youth, ambition, and the next big thing, and it can be easy to feel like you've been left behind. It feels like you've become still while the world continues to turn. It's a quiet form of quitting, not just from a job, but from the belief that you still have a vital role to play. You can vanish from your own sense of self-worth, feeling like a bystander in a life you once commanded. This is the true mark of stillness. It isn't a cosmic curse. It's the feeling of becoming a ghost in your own digital life. It's the silence that replaces real conversation. It's the quiet fading of purpose that can leave a soul feeling adrift. The legend of Baba Vanga didn't predict this. It simply gave a name to a reality that millions of us are already living. And so, this powerful legend, whether you see it as an ancient prophecy or a modern myth, serves as a profound wake-up call. It holds that mirror up to us and asks a very simple, very direct question: are you truly present in your own life? This isn't a question meant to cause guilt or anxiety. It's an invitation, an opportunity to pause and take stock. And here, in this shared space, we believe that the opposite of vanishing is being seen and heard. And so, we would be honored if you would share a piece of your own story in the comments below. Have you ever felt this mark of stillness in your own life? Perhaps in the digital world, in your conversations, or in your sense of purpose. How did you, or how are you trying to find your momentum again? Your experience is not just a comment. It is a beacon for someone else who might be reading this and feeling lost in the quiet. It's a flicker of light that says, I understand, you are not alone in this feeling. By sharing our stories, we push back against the stillness. We create a current of connection and understanding. We remind each other that we are still here and that we matter. The prayer of presence, the antidote to stillness. In the first part of our journey together, we looked into that mirror. We explored the chilling modern legend of vanishing, not as a cosmic event waiting to happen, but as a reflection of our own lives today. We saw how easily we can become still, how quietly we can fade into the background of our own stories through digital distraction, shallow conversations, and a loss of purpose. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That recognition, that moment of saying, yes, I feel that sometimes, is the first crucial step. But it also begs the question, if stillness is the problem, what is the antidote? What is the force that gets the river flowing again? The antidote, thankfully, is not complex. It doesn't require grand gestures, dramatic life changes, or expensive retreats. It is found in a simple, ancient, and profoundly human practice, the act of prayer. Now, I want to pause here for a moment, because that word prayer can mean many different things to many different people. So let me be very clear. I'm not necessarily speaking of prayer to a specific deity or within the confines of any one religion, though it certainly can be that if it resonates with you. For our purpose today, let's think of prayer as an act of intentional presence. It is the conscious decision to turn inward, even for just a moment, and to create movement where there was stillness. It's the practice of mindfully choosing what you want to focus on, what you want to feel, and what you want to connect with. As the great spiritual teacher Thich Nhat Hanh taught, the simple act of being present, of truly arriving in the here and now, is a powerful act. Prayer, in this sense, is the tool we use to arrive. It is how we speak a language of connection in a world that is filled with noise. It is the gentle but firm refusal to remain still. Redefining prayer for a modern world. For many of us, the word prayer comes with baggage. It might bring to mind rigid dogma or childhood rituals that felt more like a performance than a genuine connection. It might feel like something that belongs to other people or something you don't know how to do correctly. Let us, for a moment, set all of that aside. Let's release any preconceived notions of what prayer has to be. Imagine prayer not as a request sent to the heavens, but as a tuning fork for the soul. It is the act of consciously choosing the frequency you wish to vibrate at for the day. It's an inner alignment, a private moment of calibration before you step out into the world. In this sense, a prayer is simply a focused intention. So, what can this kind of prayer look like in our modern lives? It can be wonderfully simple and take many forms. Sometimes, a prayer is simply an act of gratitude. Psychology has caught up to what ancient wisdom has always known. The practice of gratitude has profound benefits for our mental and emotional well-being. Studies have shown that simply taking a moment to write down or even just think about what you are thankful for, can reduce stress and increase happiness. So, a prayer can be as simple as whispering, "Thank you for the morning light filtering through your window." It can be a moment of gratitude for the warmth of your coffee cup or the sound of a loved one's voice. This isn't a performance for a divine audience. It is a way of training your own mind to see the good that is already present in your life, pushing back against the stillness of apathy. At other times, a prayer can be an affirmation. This is very similar to what some people call positive self-talk. It's the act of consciously stating a truth you want to live by. Instead of asking for something, you are affirming it. For example, a prayer could be the quiet statement, "Today, I will be patient with myself," or "I have the strength to handle whatever comes my way." This isn't about fooling yourself. It's about setting a direction for your thoughts. It creates a gentle, forward momentum in your mind, steering it away from the stagnant waters of self-doubt and criticism. A prayer can also be a simple question. It can be the act of placing your hand on your heart in a quiet moment and asking, "What do I truly need today?" Not what the world wants from you, not what is on your to-do list, but what your deepest self, your soul, is asking for. Maybe the answer is rest. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's silence. The prayer isn't even in the answer. It's in the courage to ask the question. It's an act of deep listening to your own inner wisdom, a profound form of self-respect. And sometimes, a prayer is simply an acknowledgement. It is the honest admission of what you are feeling, without judgment. A prayer can be, "I am feeling scared today," or "My heart feels heavy." By naming the feeling, by bringing it into the light of your own awareness, you take away its power to rule you from the shadows. You create a space between you and the emotion. This is not stillness. This is active, courageous engagement with your own inner life. In all of these forms, you can see the common thread. It is not about performance. It is about presence. It is the ultimate act of refusing to be still. It is you, consciously and quietly, choosing to engage with your life, with your mind, and with your heart. It requires no special words, no specific place, and no permission from anyone else. It is your private, powerful tool to create movement, meaning, and connection, one moment at a time. A prayer against the digital vanishing, the intention of presence. So, let's begin to put this into practice. Let's craft our first prayer, our first focused intention. And it only makes sense to start with the most pervasive form of vanishing we face today, the digital one. Our first prayer addresses the ghost in the machine, the digital version of ourselves that often gets more attention, more energy, and more of our precious time than our actual physical one. We know the statistics. We hear that the average adult can spend hours a day looking at a screen, time that is silently subtracted from the rest of our lives. But statistics are cold. The reality is warm and personal. We vanish from family dinners, our faces illuminated by the blue light of a phone. We vanish from quiet walks, our ears plugged with podcasts, or our minds occupied by the next email. We vanish from the simple, soul-nourishing act of looking out a window and letting our minds wander. We don't do it intentionally. It's a slow, creeping fade. The phone is just so easy. It offers a constant stream of distraction, a shield against boredom or uncomfortable silence. But each time we choose the screen over the present moment, we reinforce the habit of vanishing. We become a little more still, a little less engaged with the messy, beautiful, unedited world right in front of us. So, our prayer is an act of gentle rebellion against this. It's not about throwing away our devices. It's not a call for a dramatic digital detox that feels unsustainable. It is simpler. It's about setting a small, powerful intention at the start of the day to reclaim our presence, even if just for a few moments at a time. It's a prayer to be here, in our own lives, instead of somewhere else. Let's imagine what this prayer, this intention, could sound and feel like. You can say it in the morning, perhaps before you even reach for your phone. You can say it to yourself as you sit in your car before walking into your home at the end of the day. It's a quiet reset button. It might go something like this. Today, may my eyes see the world more than they see a screen. May my hands hold another's, or work in the garden, or feel the pages of a book more than they hold a device. Let me not be a ghost in my own home, a silent observer behind a screen. Let me be a living, breathing, and sometimes clumsy presence. When someone is speaking to me, let me offer them the gift of my full attention so they know they are seen. May I find connection not in a notification, but in a real conversation, in a shared glance, in a moment of genuine being, side by side with another human. May I have the strength to choose the quiet of the real world over the noise of the virtual one, if only for a few minutes. Today, let me be present. That's it. It's not complicated. But by stating that intention, you are creating a new current in your mind. You are planting a seed of awareness, and throughout the day, you may find yourself remembering it. You might be at the dinner table, automatically reaching for your phone, and a small voice inside will whisper, a living, breathing presence. And maybe, just maybe, you'll put the phone back down. That single act is a victory against stillness. It is the antidote in action. It is you choosing to be here, choosing not to vanish. A prayer against emotional stillness, the intention of feeling. Now, let's turn our attention inward to a more subtle and perhaps more difficult form of stillness. Another form of vanishing happens when we numb ourselves to life. We become still inside, sometimes without even realizing we're doing it. We build walls around our hearts because we are afraid to feel too deeply. Life can be painful. It brings loss, disappointment, and moments of profound grief. And our natural instinct is to protect ourselves from that pain. So, we learn to skim along the surface of our emotions. We distract ourselves with busyness, with noise, with the endless scroll of the digital world. We might say things like, "I'm fine," when we are anything but. We put on a brave face, and in the process, we slowly begin to vanish from our own emotional landscape. We stop the flow. We become emotionally still. But here is a fundamental truth. Feelings, even the difficult ones, are the currents of life. They are the proof that we are engaged, that we are connected, that we care. To be emotionally still is to be stagnant. To feel is to be alive. Joy, grief, anger, wonder, sadness, they are all colors in the spectrum of a full human experience. When we numb ourselves to the pain, we inevitably numb ourselves to the joy as well. A heart that is closed for protection cannot be opened for connection. This is a core aspect of what psychologists call emotional intelligence. It's not about controlling our feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about having the wisdom and the courage to acknowledge them, to allow them to be there without letting them take over. It's about understanding that it is not only okay, but necessary, to grieve when you experience loss. It's the process of allowing that current of sadness to move through you, rather than building a dam to hold it back, where it can fester and become stagnant. So, our next prayer is an act of profound courage and self-compassion. It's an intention to allow ourselves to be fully human. It's a prayer that gives us permission to feel, creating a safe space within ourselves for the currents of life to flow. Imagine this intention in a quiet moment, maybe with a hand placed gently over your heart. Today, I give myself permission to feel. If joy comes, I will welcome it without reservation. I will let it fill me up without the fear that it will be taken away. If sadness visits, I will sit with it gently. I will offer it a quiet space, knowing it is a visitor, not a permanent resident. I will not push it away. If anger rises, I will acknowledge its fire without letting it burn me or others. I will ask it what it is trying to protect. May my heart remain soft and open, even if it has been bruised. A soft heart is a living heart. Today, may I choose the messy, beautiful, and sometimes painful reality of feeling over the clean, empty stillness of indifference. May I have the grace to be with myself, exactly as I am. This is not a prayer for happiness, it is a prayer for wholeness. It is a commitment to experiencing the fullness of your own life. When you set this intention, you are making a conscious choice to stop vanishing from your own heart. You are choosing the dynamic, unpredictable, and powerful flow of life over the safety of emotional stillness. And that is an act of immense strength. A prayer against fading purpose, the intention of meaning. And now, we turn to our final prayer in this practice. And this one, my friends, addresses perhaps the most subtle and profound vanishing of all. It's not a sudden disappearance, but a quiet, gradual fading that can happen over many years. The fading of purpose. The world we live in rushes forward with a relentless, breathless energy. It celebrates youth, speed, novelty, and the next big thing. And for so much of our lives, for decades, so much of our identity is deeply and rightly tied to our external roles. We are the engineer, the teacher, the nurse, the business owner. We are the mother, the father, the one who packs the lunches and drives to practice and pays the bills. These roles give us a clear and powerful sense of purpose. They are our why. They are the engine that gets us up in the morning, even on the difficult days. The Japanese have a beautiful and profound word for this, ikigai. It can be roughly translated as a reason for being, that sweet spot where what you love, what you are good at, and what the world needs all come together. But for so many of us, as the years gracefully turn into decades, these primary defining roles naturally change, soften, or fall away. Retirement arrives, and with it, the end of a professional identity that spanned a lifetime. The children, once the center of our universe, build their own vibrant lives and families. The once frantic, demanding pace of our days slows to a quiet, unfamiliar rhythm. And in this newfound quiet, a sense of stillness can creep in, uninvited. It can be easy to look out at the world, still rushing by at its frantic pace, and feel as though your chapter has ended, as though you have vanished from the main storyline and are now just a character in the epilogue. But this, I say with the deepest respect, is a profound and tragic misunderstanding of what purpose truly island. Wisdom is a light that never, ever dims. Purpose is not a job title that can be taken away. It is not just found in a career, it is found in character. True, enduring purpose is not about what you produce, it is about the presence you provide. And the research on this is overwhelmingly clear. Older adults who engage in meaningful activities, who find ways to serve, to volunteer, to mentor, who foster deep and loving connections across generations, they report much higher levels of happiness, health, and well-being. Your purpose doesn't vanish, it transforms, it deepens, it clarifies, it shifts from the often exhausting work of doing to the profound and powerful work of being. This final prayer, then, is a conscious, deliberate intention to recognize and fully inhabit this new, deeper, and more essential purpose. It is a gentle but firm rejection of the world's short-sighted idea that your value has diminished. It is a powerful affirmation of the immense and irreplaceable worth found in a life fully lived and of the quiet, steady power that you now hold. Let this prayer become a morning reflection, a quiet moment of alignment, a way to honor and bless the incredible person you have become. Today, May I see the true and lasting value in my own story, not just the highlight reel, but all of it. May I honor the journey that has brought me to this exact day, with all of its unexpected triumphs and all of its beautiful, instructive scars. May I recognize, with humility and with certainty, that my presence, my experience, and my hard-won wisdom are not relics of the past. They are precious gifts to the present moment, needed now in this fractured world more than ever. Let me find my purpose not in what I do, but in who I have become, a source of quiet kindness in a loud world, a keeper of precious memories that would otherwise be lost, a quiet pillar of strength and perspective for those still struggling in the storm. Let me see the profound meaning in what the world might call small things, in the simple, patient act of sharing a story with someone younger, in offering a single, heartfelt word of encouragement that could change the course of someone's day, in the simple, radical act of listening to another person without judgment, without needing to fix them, but simply offering them the sanctuary of my full attention. May I offer what I have: my time, my attention, my wisdom, however small it may seem to me, and trust in the deepest part of my being that it is more than enough. My presence is my purpose, and today I will be fully and unapologetically present. When you live with this intention, you can never truly be still. You cease to be a ship whose journey is over, and you become the lighthouse. You become an anchor of calm in a fast-moving, often confused world. You become a living library of human experience, a testament to resilience. You are not vanishing from the world, you are becoming its foundation. You are living proof of the fact that a human life, in its later, golden chapters, can be at its most potent, its most meaningful, and its most undeniably beautiful. Today's prayer, weaving it all together. And so now, having explored these intentions separately, let us bring them all together. We have spoken of the intention of presence, the intention of feeling, and the intention of meaning. Let us now weave them into a single, seamless prayer for today. A quiet touchstone, a gentle anchor to carry with you from this moment forward. If you are able to, wherever you are, I invite you to find a comfortable position. You don't need to do anything special. Simply allow the weight of your body to settle. Perhaps uncross your legs, let your shoulders drop. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or simply soften your gaze, letting the world around you blur just a little. Take a single, slow breath in and let it go. And now, let us pray. In this moment, right now, I make a conscious choice. I choose to be here, fully. I choose to arrive in my own body, in my own life. I choose to feel the solid ground beneath my feet, a silent reminder that I am supported, that I am here. I choose to feel the air entering my lungs, a quiet miracle of life, a rhythm that has sustained me since the moment I was born. I am not a ghost drifting through my own life. My breath is real, my body is real, I am alive. Today, may my eyes truly see the world. Not just glance at it, but see it. May they notice the way the light falls on a leaf, the lines of character in a stranger's face, the specific shade of blue in the morning sky. May I choose the world in its infinite detail over the flat light of a screen. And when I am with another person, may I offer them the sacred gift of my full attention, my quiet presence, so they feel seen and heard and know that for this moment they are the only person in the world. In this moment, I give my own heart permission. I give myself permission to feel. May my heart remain open, like a landscape ready to receive both the sun and the rain. May it stay soft, knowing that a soft heart is not a weak heart, but a living heart. If joy arrives today, I will welcome it without reservation. I will not hold back. I will let it fill every corner of my being without the quiet fear that it will be taken away. And if sadness or grief should visit, I will meet them with grace. I will not turn them away at the door. I will offer them a quiet space to be felt, honoring their message, trusting that they are visitors, not permanent residents. My heart is a living thing, and today I will honor all of its feelings. In this moment, I remember my own value. I see it clearly. I am not defined by my productivity, not by my busiest days, but by the quality of my being. My story has meaning. Every chapter, every triumph, every scar has shaped the person I am today. My wisdom has worth, earned through a lifetime of experience. My presence is my purpose. And so, may I find this purpose in the quiet grace of this ordinary day, not in a grand gesture, but in a small act of kindness, in sharing a piece of my story, in offering a word of encouragement, in the simple, profound act of being a calm presence in a chaotic world. And may I offer my own presence as a prayer, a quiet light, a steady warmth, in a world that needs it more than ever. Amen. Thank you for sharing in that moment of stillness and intention with me. What we have shared here is just a beginning. It's a template, a starting point, but your soul has its own unique language, its own deepest needs and desires. The most powerful prayers are the ones that come from that authentic place within you. So, we invite you to continue this practice with us and with each other. In the comments below, if you feel comfortable, please share just one intention or one line from your own daily prayer. It doesn't need to be long or poetic, just simple and true. What is the one thing you are asking for presence in today? Perhaps it's patience with a loved one, maybe it's courage for a difficult task, or simply the ability to notice the beauty in your day. By sharing, you do two wonderful things. First, you not only strengthen your own intention by writing it down, but you also create a beautiful tapestry of hope and encouragement for everyone who reads it. Your simple line might be the exact thing someone else needs to hear today. Together, we can turn a simple comments section into a space of collective light. The armor of presence, a life of meaning and connection. In our last chapter, we discovered the profound and gentle power of prayer, not as a petition sent outward, but as an act of presence turned inward. We learned how to use focused intention to create movement where there was stillness, bringing life back to our awareness, our hearts, and our sense of purpose. But a question naturally arises from this. It's a fair and practical question. How does this quiet, internal practice truly protect us in a loud, chaotic, and often frightening world? When we are faced with real-world problems, financial worries, health concerns, political turmoil, family struggles, is a simple internal prayer enough? The answer is yes, but perhaps not in the way we usually think about protection. True protection is not about building higher walls to keep the world out. Life will always find a way in. It's not about wishing for a magical shield that deflects all hardship, because hardship is a part of the human experience. Instead, the most powerful protection we can have is resilience. It's about cultivating an inner core so strong, so grounded, and so flexible that the world cannot break you. It's what the ancient Stoic philosophers understood so well. We cannot control the events that happen to us, but we can always control our response to them. The prayer of presence is not a plea for safety. It is the very act of forging the armor you will wear each day. Each time you choose to be present, each time you honor your feelings, each time you connect with your purpose, you are strengthening that inner core. You are building your resilience. This is not a passive practice, it is an active one. It is the foundation upon which a truly protected life is built. And now, let's look at exactly how that armor is constructed. The armor of connection, protection from the vanishing of loneliness. The first layer of this armor we are forging, this armor of presence, is perhaps the most vital of all. It is what protects us against the most terrifying vanishing we can face in our actual lives, the slow, quiet, creeping fade into loneliness. Let's go back for just a moment to the heart of that modern legend. The ultimate fear in that story wasn't just the act of disappearing. It was the consequence, the terror of being forgotten. It was the idea that your entire existence, all your loves and struggles and joys, could be erased from the hearts and minds of others, as if you were never here. In our real lives, we are forgotten in a much simpler, more common way. We are forgotten when we cease to truly connect. Loneliness, we have come to understand, is not simply the absence of other people. It's not about being physically alone. Some of the most profound moments of peace in life are found in solitude. No, loneliness is the absence of connection. It's the feeling that settles in when you are in a crowded room, or even sitting across the dinner table from your own family, and you feel utterly and completely alone. Loneliness is the painful feeling of being unseen, unheard, and fundamentally unknown. And we must be very clear about this. This is not just a passing sadness. The science on this is absolutely, unequivocally clear. Chronic loneliness can be as damaging to our physical health as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. It impacts our immune system, our heart health, our cognitive function. It is a genuine threat to our well-being. This is where our quiet, inner practice of presence becomes a powerful outer shield. The daily prayer to be present, the simple, focused intention to truly see the world and the people in it, is the direct, practical antidote to the poison of loneliness. And it works through a simple, powerful mechanism. Your presence is the greatest and most profound gift you can give another human being. It's a gift that has become incredibly rare in our frantic, distracted world, and because of its rarity, it has become more valuable than ever. Think about what this looks like in practice. When you are with your spouse, your child, your grandchild, or an old friend, and you make the conscious, deliberate choice to put down your phone, to physically place it in another room, out of sight and out of mind. When you turn away from the television, mute the noise, and turn your whole body to face them. When you look into their eyes, and you truly listen to their story. And by listening, I don't mean just being quiet while waiting for your turn to talk. I mean practicing what is sometimes called active listening. It means listening not to judge, not to fix, not to formulate your brilliant reply, but simply to understand. To hear the words they are saying, and maybe even the feelings behind the words. When you do this, you are performing a quiet, sacred act. You are saying to them, in a language far more powerful than words, "You are not invisible to me. In this moment, you are the most important person in the world. What you are saying matters. You matter. You are anchoring them in reality. You are protecting them from their own feeling of vanishing. And here is the beautiful reciprocal secret. In doing so, you protect yourself. Connection is never a one-way street. When you make someone else feel truly seen and heard, you, in turn, feel deeply connected. When you listen to another's story of struggle or joy, you are reminded of your own shared humanity. You build a bridge of empathy between your heart and theirs. These small, consistent moments of genuine, present connection are the very bricks and mortar of a life that is fortified against loneliness. Each moment is a single brick, and over time, you build a fortress. This isn't about becoming a perfect conversationalist overnight. It is a practice, just like our daily prayer. It starts with small, manageable intentions. Maybe today, your intention is to have just one 5-minute conversation where your phone is completely out of the picture. Maybe it's to ask a simple follow-up question that shows you were really listening, like, "And how did that make you feel?" These are not small things, they are the most important things. They are the building blocks of the armor of connection. They are how we refuse, with gentle, loving determination, to let ourselves and the people we cherish fade away. The armor of legacy, protection from the stillness of meaninglessness. If the armor of connection is what protects our hearts from the chill of loneliness, then this second layer of armor is what protects our spirit. This is the armor of legacy, and it is forged specifically to protect us from a particularly insidious form of stillness that can creep in later in life, the quiet, hollowing, and deeply painful feeling of meaninglessness. For so many decades of our lives, the world gives us a very clear, if demanding, script for what it means to be a valuable person. Society tells us our value lies in our productivity. It's measured by our careers, the titles on our business cards, our ability to earn, to provide, to achieve, and to build. We pour our life's energy into these roles, running a marathon of responsibility. We build a family, a career, a home, and these things give us a powerful built-in sense of purpose. They are our ikigai, our reason to get up in the morning. But what happens when that part of the story, that long and central chapter, comes to its natural end? What is left when the career is over and the farewell party is a distant memory? What happens when the mortgage is finally paid and the immense, all-consuming responsibilities of raising a family have shifted to the next generation? In that newfound quiet, a dangerous form of stillness can emerge. It doesn't arrive with a loud bang, but as a silent, creeping mist. It's the feeling that your primary purpose has faded, that your most significant contribution to the world is complete. It is the quiet, nagging fear that you have become irrelevant in a world that is relentlessly obsessed with youth, innovation, and what's next. This is the stillness of meaninglessness, and it is a heavy, invisible weight to carry on one's soul. This is precisely where our daily intentional practice of presence allows us to forge the armor of legacy. But to do so, we must first completely redefine that word. Our culture often speaks of legacy in cold, transactional terms. It's about the money in a will, the property passed down, the list of accomplishments etched on a plaque. But a true legacy, a living legacy that protects the spirit, is something far more profound, far more human. Legacy is not what you leave for people, it is what you leave in people. Let's sit with that for a moment. Legacy is not what you leave for people, it's what you leave in them. It is the echo of your steady encouragement in the mind of a younger colleague who was terrified of failure. It is the story you told your grandchild about your own childhood, a world without smartphones and internet that suddenly connects them to a deeper, richer sense of history and their own roots. It is the quiet integrity you modeled when you made a difficult but honest choice when no one else was watching. It is the particular way you showed kindness to a stressed-out store clerk. It is the unwavering patience you offered a loved one during a difficult illness. These are the moments. These are the invisible threads of character, wisdom, and love that become woven into the very fabric of other people's lives. This is the real inheritance, the only one that truly lasts. And how is this profound legacy built? It isn't built in a single, grand act. It is built moment by moment, day by day, through the simple, conscious act of being present. Your full presence is the vessel that carries your legacy into the hearts of others. I invite you to think of yourself not just as a person in the autumn of your years, but as a living library. Your mind and heart are filled with priceless, first-edition volumes that no one else has. You contain the story of a world that no longer exists. You hold the hard-won lessons learned from mistakes made and survived. You possess the deep, nuanced wisdom gained from navigating the complexities of love, loss, joy, and regret. When you are truly present with another person, when you put down the distractions and simply offer them your attention, you are unlocking the doors to that library. The act of storytelling, of sharing your experiences without preaching or lecturing, is one of the most powerful ways to build your legacy. It connects generations. It gives context and meaning to the present. The great psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, who survived the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, wrote in his timeless book, Man's Search for Meaning, that the ultimate human drive is not for pleasure, but for meaning. He discovered that we can endure almost any hardship, any how, if we have a why. Your purpose in this chapter of your life may no longer be to build a company, but to build character in others. It may not be to climb a corporate ladder, but to be a steady, reassuring hand for someone just beginning their climb. Your daily prayer of presence, your quiet intention to see the value in your own story, becomes the active, daily process of forging this armor. Every day that you choose to be present, to connect, to share your quiet wisdom, you are making a priceless deposit into the hearts of the people you touch. You are actively and powerfully pushing back against the stillness of meaninglessness. You are living a life that proves, beyond any doubt, that a person's value does not diminish with age. Instead, it concentrates, like a fine wine, into its most potent and essential form, wisdom. That is a legacy that can never be erased. That is a spirit that can never truly be still. The armor of wisdom, protection from the noise of fear. We have forged the armor of connection to protect our hearts from loneliness. We have forged the armor of legacy to protect our spirits from meaninglessness. And now, we come to the third and final layer of our protection. This is the armor of wisdom, and it is forged to protect the most vulnerable and precious territory of all, our minds. Specifically, this layer of armor is designed to protect us from the ceaseless, overwhelming, and exhausting noise of fear that bombards us every single day in the modern world. It is a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety that has become the background music of our lives. Turn on the television at any hour, scroll through a news website on your phone, listen to the talk radio in your car, and you are met with a tidal wave of it. The news of distant conflicts, the endless political battles, the dire economic forecasts, the latest health warnings, the constant worries about the future of our world, our country, and the children we love. This noise is relentless. It is designed to capture our attention, and it does so by preying on our most primal instinct for survival. And if we are not conscious and deliberate in how we engage with it, it can paralyze us into a unique and agonizing kind of stillness, the stillness of anxiety. It's a terrible paradox, a state of being constantly agitated on the inside, your mind racing with 1,000 worries, but frozen on the outside, unable to act, trapped in a cycle of worrying about 1,000 possible futures that may or may not ever come to pass. This is where true wisdom becomes our essential shield, and it's important to understand that wisdom is not the same thing as intelligence. It's not about knowing more facts, winning more arguments, or being able to recite more statistics. Wisdom is the ability to stand in the very middle of that deafening storm of information and fear, and to find the quiet, unshakable center within yourself. It is the hard-won ability to discern what is real from what is imagined, what is your responsibility to act on, and what is simply not yours to control. This is the very essence of the wisdom captured in the famous Serenity Prayer, a simple but profound touchstone for so many people through generations. It asks for three things: the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Our daily practice of presence is the practical, step-by-step tool that allows us to cultivate this wisdom. How does it work? It works by constantly, gently, training our minds to return to the only time that is ever real, the here and now. The endless, addictive cycle of news and worry, what some have aptly named doom scrolling, is a machine designed to drag our minds out of the present and into a hypothetical, fearful future. It makes us live our actual, precious lives in a world of terrifying what-ifs. What if the economy crashes? What if there's another war? What if my family gets sick? The practice of presence is the act of gently but firmly pulling your mind back from the edge of those imagined cliffs and anchoring it in the solid ground of the present moment. It teaches you to ask a simple, clarifying, and powerful question whenever you feel that storm of anxiety rising within you. Is this threat in the room with me right now, or is it a shadow on a screen? 9 times out of 10, perhaps 99 times out of 100, you will find that the answer is the latter. In the actual physical room you are in at this very moment, you are likely safe. The sun may be shining. The chair you are sitting on is holding you without fail. The air you are breathing is entering and leaving your body, sustaining you. By anchoring yourself in this tangible, undeniable reality, you create a sacred space between you and the storm of fear. You can see the storm, but you are not in the storm. This does not mean becoming ignorant, apathetic, or uninformed. It is not about sticking your head in the sand. It is about practicing discernment. It means making a conscious choice to be informed, but not inundated. It means deciding, as an act of profound self-respect, how much of that noise you will allow into the sanctuary of your mind each day. It's the wisdom to know that 5 minutes of reading the headlines from a reliable source can give you the very same information as 5 hours of watching cable news, but with only a fraction of the emotional and mental cost. This armor of wisdom is the ultimate protection for your peace of mind. It allows you to be a concerned, compassionate, and engaged citizen of the world without becoming a casualty of its collective anxieties. It is you, standing in the quiet, grounded center of your own being, able to see the storm, to acknowledge its power, but to refuse to let it wash you away. It is the final, essential piece of a life that is not just resilient, but truly and deeply serene. And so, we come to the end of our journey together. We began with a frightening modern legend of people vanishing from existence, a story born in the quiet corners of the internet. We end here, in this moment, with the profound realization that the only vanishing we truly need to fear is the one that happens when we live on autopilot, when we allow ourselves to become still, disconnected, and forget our own meaning. The true mark of stillness is not a mystical curse. It is the unlived life. It is the heart that has closed itself off to feeling, the mind that has surrendered to fear, and the spirit that has forgotten its own purpose. So, the warning for 2025, in its truest and most useful form, is not a date on a calendar to be feared. It is an invitation that is offered to us not just once, but every single morning when we wake. It is the invitation to choose. Choose presence over distraction. Choose connection over isolation. Choose to live a life that leaves echoes of love and wisdom in the hearts of others. That is a legacy. That is a life that can never, ever vanish. Our time together is drawing to a close. This has been a long and deep exploration, and I am deeply, genuinely grateful for your attention and for your presence with me on this path. It is a rare thing in this world, and I do not take it for granted. If you have stayed with me to this point, it would mean the world to me if you would simply comment below with the words, "I am still here," just so I know that I have had friends journeying with me all this way. Your presence is the greatest encouragement for me to continue to share these explorations,